When I heard that Craig the Creek is getting a prequel film, my expectations were minimum. Mainly the fact that I'm not a huge fan of Craig the Creek, but considering of how that this movie, after watching it, really shows that there was a lot of passion when it comes to this prequel film. And considering that my review of Bernard of the Creek wasn't really the best due to my opinions being different and taking the episode seriously, it's honestly accurate to talk about this film just before I start my one upload per week after January. To tell you the truth, guys, Craig of the Creek as a franchise really had the luck that it had left. And the luck that I mentioned is just mainly the luck that Cartoon Network would do when it comes to shows that are popular. Because I know forward that this show is coming to an end this year, with only half of the episodes of Season 5 have yet to premiere. And when it comes to this movie, I can guarantee you that they're trying to do the much of what they can offer when it comes to Craig the Creek, along with its spin-off Jessica's Little Big World. But no matter what, the time is running out. And believe me when I say this, with it being a full year since that they announced that they wrote the final episode back in December of 2022, it really shows that we're reaching to the point that Craig of the Creek is officially ending. But less said about that, let's go talk about the film itself. In the beginning of the film, Craig and his family moved into Heckerton, moving out from their old home, which Craig is really disappointed and depressed since that he's leaving everything behind when it comes to his best friends and whatnot. After accidentally launching Jessica's stuffed animal, or stuffed doll, Small Uncle into the creek, he goes into the creek to find it, but then he encounters the pirates and its leader, Serena. She has one half of the map, which is the creek itself, and when Craig found one half of the map that was inside of a notebook that is a property of Hannah that this movie has shown from the beginning, this leads to him being convinced to go back to the creek because there's an item that will fix all of his problems. The Wish Maker, which is a paper fortune teller that allows him to make a wish in order to go back home where he wants to be. For me personally, this film's premise is honestly interesting. Like, I know I've seen Inside Out involving Riley moving to a different place and wanting to go back to the place where she belongs, which for me personally, it sums up on how that film was a lot more better, but when it comes to this movie's execution, it doesn't try to make Craig emotional, because for me personally, whenever I think about Craig in this, he tries a lot to make things right for himself, but at the same time, when it comes to the new environment, you're not really used to getting into the new environment. I never moved, but I can understand the struggles of what a person would feel once they move to a new place while feeling way more comfortable from their old place. They really handled Craig's character in this film really well. Even though it may not be on the same levels as Riley, at the same time it doesn't need to be. For me personally, it's honestly best if Craig acted the way he is in this film, because to tell you the truth, if this movie became too emotional, then it's kind of difficult to actually feel sympathy towards characters that aren't like the other characters that felt so much emotional turmoil. Most of the characters in the creek before they get their own episodes after this film really shows that they really didn't try to make this creek really that epic in comparison to the Capture the Flag and the Heart of the Forest. Granted, I didn't watch that, but for what I heard and witnessed, it really feels like that they put a lot of effort when it comes to the origins of the creek, and when it comes to the origins that we've seen from this film, it's mainly after the events when it came to the people who went through the Heart of the Forest. Sorry if my facts are mostly off, but at the same time, I still didn't watch the Heart of the Forest yet. When it comes to Kelsey and JP in this film, I have to admit, Thinking about it after watching this movie, they really have more of a purpose considering that they don't have friends of their own when it comes to their adjustment in the creek. But considering that Kelsey is the one that has that adjustment, it kind of shows that they really wanted to give JP a different character than how he was when this show came out back in March of 2018. I've always acknowledged Kelsey's personality when it came to her being interested into books and all that stuff when it came to the main series. So when it comes to her portrayal, believe me, everyone will always have this mindset and this make-believe world of being into fantasy from books. To tell you the truth, I honestly think that Kelsey's character in this is for what it is, and being mostly a lone wolf, well, aside from her board, I really felt like that I actually enjoy her character a lot more after thinking about her development from the main series. When it comes to JP, he's actually one of the pirates that is solving for Serena, but at the same time, he's terrible. One of the worst pirates, and not in a villainous way. As far as I'm concerned, the fact that he actually breaks down and crying really shows on how that his portrayal in the main series is the way that he is. Since it's not meant to be taken seriously when it comes to his character, and him being Craig's friend is honestly good in nature when it comes to his behavior, it really shows that his new leaf in this film is honestly what makes him probably one of the most, well, obviously good at being the worst. I mean, in all honesty, the way I see it, it really feels like that they're really trying to make this whole well, the best at being the worst thing happening in that Thread 3, which I can't believe I'm mentioning, as a scenario on showcasing JP's character development. Maybe this origin film wouldn't be that interesting if it didn't have a villain whatsoever, and considering that the main villain itself has the same motivation as Craig's motivation, it kind of shows that this whole relationship between him and JP and Kelsey really makes this film somewhat connected to the main series. Because to tell the truth, when it comes to the main series, I don't even think that there was a single episode that centers around these three characters going against each other. Like, just seeing the other Craig of the Creek side characters that get their own episodes in the main series before they get so into the creek really sums up a lot that there's always a start when it comes to relationships. And when it comes to characters, it really feels like that everyone, aside from the pirates and the main villain, really had a nature of enjoying the creek when everything got mostly complicated. Mainly Capture the Flag and the other side of the creek. If anyone's going to mention no, Xavier doesn't appear in any moment in this entire film. Let's get into the main antagonist of this film, Serena. When I first saw the trailer involving pirates, I was honestly having second thoughts because it was one of the elements that I wasn't going to enjoy before watching this film. Not to say that I'm having Codename Kids Next Door flashbacks when it comes to the antagonist being a pirate that is highly into candy, but at the same time, I was honestly not into the idea of Craig the Creek having a pirate villain. But considering that Serena's development is similar to Craig, it really shows onto why that she became a pirate to begin with. When Craig found the Wishmaker, Serena, who captured JP and Kelsey, who Craig betrayed, took the Wishmaker and wished that the entire creek is flooded. When Craig tries to undo the wish, Serena intervenes by touching the Wishmaker just when Craig was about to make his wish, which leads to them inside of the Wishmaker in a battle. To tell you the truth, the battles, mainly the climaxes of Steven Universe and We Bare Bears, the movies, were a lot more entertaining. For me personally, I really felt like that this movie didn't really need to try to make this climax good, considering that Serena is a new character. Granted, Agent Trout from We Bare Bears, the movie, is a new character, especially Spinell from Steven Universe, the movie. But similar to Spinell when it comes to relatability and character development, Serena needed the Wishmaker in order to wish herself back home while she lived by a beach and enjoying her time at the beach. And when it comes to other things that she missed that the Queen doesn't offer. I'm gonna be really real with you, knowing full well that this is the type of development that showcased that this movie rejects nostalgia, which is similar to the Inside Out movie when it comes to wildly giving up nostalgia towards the end. I really felt like that they really hit the home run here when it came to Serena's motivation on being a pirate and her reasonings on using the Wishmaker to return home. The whole pirate aspect after getting the information towards the end really shows onto how Serena is Xavier before Xavier became Xavier and the ruler of the other side of the creek. Because for me personally, since that these characters that don't appear after the reign of Serena's terror is officially over, since that she and Craig came to the realization that they decided to stay at the creek, really shows Serena's thirst of wanting to go back home more than Craig. And while some of her henchmen refuses to help out due to the weather getting worse, it made me convinced that these types of characters, while the villains similar to the Other Side episodes, for me personally, the difference is that they're mostly causing rains in the creek, while the Other Side characters do not. To be honest, if Serena is only going to be exclusive towards this film unless there's a miracle by chance that she's going to appear in the other half of Season 5, then it honestly suits because her flashbacks involving the home that she used to live is a lot more bigger in comparison to Craig's home. The only things that we see involving Craig's old home is his friends and bits of his school, which is mainly the front door. And when it comes to my prediction on his old home, well, he mostly goes to his grandparents from time to time, which was in flashbacks in the show. It really feels like that they drove a very long time to get to the grandparents, which for me personally, it happened to me at a very young age. And to tell you the truth, it kind of makes sense on the characters moving to a different location to not only start a different direction in life, but also getting closer to the grandparents. When he hated everything in Heckleton upon moving in, it really shows that he had what he had. In comparison to Serena, she lost so much, to the point that she is basically mad with power in order to become a pirate, in order to succeed her goal. But when it comes to her being mad with power, believe me, I think her mad with power was a lot more different in comparison to Xavier. Like, she flooded the creek. Like, if Xavier got his hands on the Wishmaker, he would have done much more worse when it comes to his own limits on being the king of the other side. But when it comes to how Serena handled it, even though the whole motivations make sense, at the same time, her desperation on going back home was a lot more bigger, to the point that she really made things a lot more worse on making the entire place much more flooded. Granted, I understand that this is a kid's point of view, but to tell you the truth, I'm not going to break the illusion. To tell you the truth, it made me think a lot more after watching this movie, and with it being a prequel film similar to the Powerpuff Girls film before the main series, it made me think that this film was really doing a lot more when it comes to its characters. And with the motivation centering around Craig's character along with Serena's character, I can say for a fact that this is one of the best Cartoon Network films in this decade. Well, the only Cartoon Network film was We Bare Bears the movie. Granted, I slightly prefer the We Bare Bears movie over this, but this movie is still very good. For me personally, it really established and improved the world building of Craig of the Creek a lot more when it comes to its villain and its characters. Sometimes when I look into the positives of this show, when it comes to what I don't like about this show, it somewhat overweigh the negatives. And whenever I see this film, it kind of summarizes on how that this show is its own thing, even though that I'm not into it 100%. Like, doing a month dedicated to this show is out of the question. I mean, it's a possibility, but at the same time, it's mainly on how I feel when it comes to the qualities of this show. And keep in mind, with this show having more episodes than We Bare Bears, it's gonna be a difficult decision into finding the right episodes. Like, doing the marathon of this when it comes to expanding reviews for 2 months is honestly out of the question, considering of what I have in store for the summer of this year, but you all know what I'm planning to do. While it is a shame that this franchise is ending this year, you can at least admit that its movie is one of the saving graces on improving the franchise before it reaches its conclusion. I'm giving this movie an 8 out of 10.